Welcome to another Traders Community. We're just going to have a quick rundown of the market. Welcome all the investors, punters, dribblers, and traders out there. Pretty good day, choppy. Then some good movements after the market, particularly on Facebook. And it was really, the market was in three parts today. Pre the fake news on Facebook, there was a fake release of their earnings with Bloomberg came out and said it was BS. So then there's a second phase after that, all the worry about earnings, and then after the market with Facebook's earnings. So we got the glorious Madavi here, who really had a really nice session after the market in particular. So we're going to go through some of that. And we got Meta Johnny that you can hear dribbling away in the background there. So pretty well, that's the story of the market today. In those factors. So let's jump in real quick. What happened? As far as Treasury bonds, we did have another auction today. It wasn't a standout like yesterday's, but there was some overseas buying. The 2-year yield actually rose for the first time in three, i.e. bonds down. 10-year rose a little bit, up to 282. The US dollar actually hit the highest since almost 2017 today and pulled off a little bit off that. So we're going to go through all that. Everything is, do yourself a favour, all those numbers are on here on the website. So you can go through everything there. We're not going to bore you with it. All the settles on all the futures and everything we watch. Europe, Asia, all that good stuff. Bonds, it's all there, right? So go do that. You got the EIA report on oil. So where are we? We're 101.71 on WTI. We're 733 on Natty. That had a nice big move up today. Actually got up to 750. Pulled back at the end there. Remember, that's run mainly by domestic events, but we did have that move up because of Poland and Bulgaria. Poland really isn't that much an issue. So a lot of it's just a lot of politics and stuff. But what matters is EIA tomorrow for that. LNG demand. So watch also Mexico. S&P, nice pop with Facebook, 42.18. The Dribbler Index, 18.90. Nasdaq, that's not the Dribblers Index. We're just having a bit of a laugh. So that's Russell. Nasdaq was a big move at 13.175, about 200 after Facebook. Vol got all the way up to 31, come down to 29.75. Okay, let's look real quick at S&P. There was some nice swing trades in that today, and that's pretty well all we're doing. In fact, Madav is really swinging it a lot more like multi-day swings. I'm kind of just looking at the levels off Murray, etc. So today we did one short. Well, let's go back to the daily. We did the shorts off here, as you know, yesterday, and we bought that back this morning. So you can see what's based off the cloud, shorted into today. It was pretty easy. It's a vulnerable market. You can see on the weekly. If we go into the daily, we covered the shorts this morning around minus 1.8. So if we bring it in here, and we went long, so not getting all this, but just a beat of it. And then when that fake Facebook dropped, that was this sell-off here, right? This noise here. So, and then after hours, this went up nicely with Facebook. So we made some decent money on that. So you can just see real clinical. The spit of the previous low was the buy we took, right? And ran it up here. And the spit to the previous high, covered with that, just pure order flow and trading, and then after the market, that little pop there. So really pretty nice, a nice couple of few scalps there on Spurs, which actually we ended up making more than what we thought. I mean, these are 60 handle moves here. Okay, Madavi on Nasdaq. Let me bring Nasdaq up real quick. So here we have the Nasdaq on the daily. Let's bring it down to 60 minutes. There you go, 5 minutes. So there's the Nasdaq for you, mate.
Solve your collections.
So what do you got? You there, Madavi?
Yep, right
Yeah,
here.
yep. So there's Nasdaq for you. That's today. This was that. It was a nice open up, and it just sold off all day. And then we had that bounce, and then we had that fake Facebook news, and then that. So
Yeah, so as you see it, like I've been trying to go with a pattern of this market is going to be weak, and all I did is I'm holding a good position short for a little while. I'm in the money. I added one. Tomorrow, I think there could be a bounce, so I might look for some protection on these for tomorrow, and see how far I can ride this downturn down. Let's see if it's a real thing or not, and while also protecting my gains.
yep, nicely put. So we did have that move, and I said in the notes that it was all pretty well Facebook, and that's pretty well what it is. Yeah. So we've also got, what's today? Wednesday. So we've also got Amazon to come, Intel to come, and Apple that are going to influence this. And on Friday you got Exxon and Chevron. And tomorrow we actually got a driller that we trade a lot, Patterson, which we got hit after hours, a couple of hours above the market. I don't know, it's someone getting out. Not sure if we're going to stay in it. But anyway, that's what's happening. And if we go wider on NAS, you can see the resistance is all the way up here. It's a long way above here. And the support, right? So we keep going a little bit lower through these lows and then trapping people. So it's an interesting move. This you see more in commodities, right? So we're going to keep an eye on that. Okay, let's go through the stocks we trade.
Sorry about that, mate.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so it went to my phone. I opened up my phone. And it's
Yeah,
anyways,
no.
so you got the gist what I'm doing right now. Now.
Yeah. No, I got it all perfectly. Yeah. We just heard the dribbler in the background. That's all. So let's look at some of the stuff we traded. Well, we're gonna. I want to show Snap first because that's one that we've really been kind of churning. So today, as you know, that was the earnings, and we pretty well have traded from the short side, myself and Madavi, all the way down. Today, what I found bloody interesting, I've covered the short here, remember this? And actually got hit and long, and it just kept going down. But the technicals kept me in, so I managed to make some of this move because we're bullish on the Nasdaq and the S&P, as you just saw on it. But what this told me was there's some heavy... So this went outside of its range, and there's obviously just funds unloading or people getting short. That's not... Who knows what it is. But the other... So we made some money on this. We actually were down a little bit, got up. And then after hours, this popped up with Facebook for no real reason other than it's tech and that. So we made a little bit of money shorting up there. So we're flat at right now. So let's look at the other things we did after hours. And I'll have Madavi walk us through this. So the big one was Facebook. And then that was the big earnings. Let's go to 5 minutes, yeah. Okay, so the numbers come out. So forget all this noise that happened today that we went through. So here's the number. Do you want to walk us through this, mate?
Sure. So when the numbers first came out, everybody was thinking this thing was going to be a sell over here. But they sold it off. And when they sold it off, the numbers look better than this. But in the bear market, we got to remember that they sell the market way below where it's supposed to be. So then they bring it up. In a bull market, they raise the stocks, then they leave it kind of flat before earnings. But if you'll notice right now, they've been selling this market way off. So when they sell it way off, they might overshoot it, then they'll bring it back on, depending on what the earnings are. So knowing that, I got short a little bit, then I reversed and went long, and I rode it up all the way up to 209.
Yeah, it was a beautiful trade. And just so this is where Murray... So the only technical analysis really that matters when you're getting outsized moves is things like Murray maths, because it just gives you probabilities, and you can see minus 1/8. And so you had a chance, you knew it could at least get to plus 1/8, which is 202, right? So that helps keep you in. And then you see all the order flows and all the, So that was a really nice trade.
And remember what period of market you're in. This will help you. You'll see a lot of these stocks sell off, and then after earnings, it might come up before they used to run up, or they used to run down a little bit first, then they used to jack up. Now you're going to see them run down and go up. It's kind of a little bit opposite.
Yeah, yeah, and so what was interesting? Here's what's funny. So Madavi grabs that and he goes, "Hey, pins is his." I don't know why I had Indo up because that was the one we wanted to short. Remember that? So Pinstripe, what was unbeknown to me at the point, because there's so many earnings. So I didn't realize these guys had actually done earnings. So, but what we did do, this is daily. Let me get it to 5. What we did do, they on the basis that they're a social media company and going up with because of Facebook, we actually shorted it. We got short in here a little bit earlier, went up a little bit more, and then bought it back in here. But they actually, unbeknown, they actually had earnings. But look at that sell. We could have actually stayed in there, mate. If this is a true tick. I remember seeing here getting out too early. We made good coin on that one. Because we already had a view on Pinstripes, right? We didn't realise...
Yeah,
Pinterest, sorry. Did I just call it Pinstrip?
It was so strong.
Yeah. I didn't realise it had earnings. Remember that?
Yeah, I told you guys, Pinstrips has earnings. I shorted it.
Yeah.
Not before. I had a feeling this thing could bounce up because this thing was a $70 stock not too long ago. You know, and then it went all the way down $18. So they priced this thing way down.
Right, 100%. And so, yeah, it just escaped my mind. And then, so anyway, it was a good trade. We got like 80 cents. We could have made $1.50 on the short. So remember what I just showed you on Snap, same thing. Now, here's also tied in with this was PayPal. So PayPal, if you remember, was a company that was going to buy Pinstripes and it never happened. It was all BS, just typical stories. I mean, the stories are getting quite unreal. So let's bring up PayPal because you did some really nice trades in this too. So these guys had earnings, and they've been just getting crushed as well. So this is it. So look at the spread after the earnings. It's like $90 to 79. I don't know how much size is on that, but this is the trade you did here. This buy, this run up. Remember?
Yep, exactly. So it's sold way off. I mean, PayPal sold way off, and I was like, hey man, PayPal's way too cheap. It got down $79. So I bought it first at 880, and then I fell for the biggest fool and thing. They dropped the bids, went to 80, and they filled themselves up. And when I saw that, I had to reverse, and I had to go buy back 81.20. So I cost myself basically 80 cents on the downside, and I bought it $400 more expensive.
Right.
40 cents more expensive.
But that was good discipline to get back into that. Okay, so next on the agenda was this little beauty, which I just think was a huge short anyway for a long time, just my view on it. And I know there's a lot of dribblers just love this because, hey, the doctors use it. Still all about price. We're talking about TDOC, of course. Look at this thing. So, and this is a Cathie Woods one, I believe. So it dropped. I mean, I looked at how much they lost. It's more than the bloody stock price. But anyway, all that aside, it's come down hard. You couldn't short it. You couldn't short RK. I don't know if you could short the others, but you actually did well recovering this on the bounce, right? So you got this little bounce here.
Well, it's I can get out right now. I got out of a few of it, so I'm just barely getting out of some. Well, what happened is I thought I was buying at 37.90, but actually it was 38.90. You know, so
that was this one, yeah.
So that was my first buy. So I got filled at like 38.50, and then it just it sank down to 34, and I bought 500. It came up to where I could have made some money, but being greedy me, I decided not to get it. And then it came way back down to $34, and you know what I did, mate? I loaded up, and I'm looking for a nice little exit.
Yeah, and I said I ain't buying that, which I could have, obviously, I could have.
Well, I'm up a little bit right now, but there's some selling coming in, so I'll see what I'm gonna do right now. I might get out.
Yep, nice work. So the next one we did was Ford Motor Company, who had earnings, and they popped up on it. So here's what's interesting one. So generally, what I do is I'm a little bit coming from the futures and world. I tend to short everything when it's up. Not literally, like obviously not Facebook, but so this little number pops up. I shorted here, didn't make too much. I shorted again, didn't make too much. Then got a little bit and got a bit early, and then I actually bothered to read it. And one thing I did notice, Madabi, they didn't blame Ukraine, right? And we were laughing. Facebook was blaming Ukraine. Who's the other one? Snap blaming Ukraine. But they did talk about their good electric vehicles. And I said, you know what? I'm going to hold some of this. And then it fell down. And so I plan to hold some of this and then write some calls against it if I do tomorrow. Mainly because the market, if it holds, I don't want too much downside, right? So this one come out better than, that's Australian to me, came out better. I've talked to too many leagueies last few days. So that's one pattern there. This is not, so this is one, it's obviously you do trade a little bit different size, whatever. So we'll see how that goes. And obviously if Tesla has kind of a recovery, that may influence that one. Not much else on that. What was the other stock? There was one more we did, bro.
CUCOM.
Yeah, CUCOM was another one. So these are all influential companies in the index, and you get to know them in chips and all that sort of stuff as well. A lot of tech, and remember, it'll change up on Friday, oil and everything. We already did energy, right, I think. So here's CUCOM. They got all the way down to 134 pre, and they bounced up to 145. If you want to walk us through that. I didn't even look at this one, actually. I think I was doing forward while you were doing this.
Well, all these stocks basically were selling off some, right? But then I saw this one, and I seen it going up, right? So as soon as it broke the 140, that's where I got long, and wrote this thing up. No, yeah. No, actually, so sorry about that. And then let me look at my trade.
I thought you did good on this one.
Yeah, I made 5 points on it.
Yeah.
So it was a good trade,
Yeah, it was nice work.
But the price I gave you wrong. I'm looking at my trades. It was actually at 135, and I got it at 140.
It's hard with so many. They're so different to where we looked at them. So here's one that I like, and I fiddled with. So I came in with this for a bit of length. I've been accumulating this and a few others on the pullback in a drilling space. So Patterson Energy is a Houston company that most of us know that are in the biz. So basically there's RIG, which is the biggest offshore, which is Transocean. And a lot of these just went bust, right? So, it looks like I got filled, bro. There's a little one called Bohr we fiddled around in. Remember that? It's like $4 or $5. And then, but basically there's Patterson and Transocean Sandbase. It got ahead of itself. So we've come in with it. I threw out some silly offers after the market and got filled. Here, and for length. So basically I'll take it out of it. They have earnings tomorrow. We'll see. And I actually oversold a little bit, and it looks like I got filled. So that was nice. Sold 18.22. It closed here, 16.40. Sold, and then I just got filled on that offshoot. So Madavi made a good point. That was because it wasn't a lot, but that some people just either they're short and scared, or they just don't give a stuff and they move out of the day. Mm-hmm. So there's that one. What else do we do? During the day, what's that one that Amcor? No, what was it called?
No, ACON.
Yeah, sorry, not CUCOM. ACON. Oh, that's ACOR, wasn't it? ACOR. So this was one we just saw going on 52-week highs. So it's a little stock. But it's not ACON. What was it? ACON then. That's not it. What was the symbol? Do you have it up?
ICON, I think. I'm looking up right now. Hold on.
ACON, yeah. So
Yeah.
ACON is a different.
No, it's ACON. ACON.
ACON, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is when it just hit 50 highs and some size came into it. So we did a scalp. So basically we got long here, 320. Got out of half of it up here, 380. Rebought it in here with this, see this green? And then there was just a seller all the way. So sometimes they don't always work out, so we dumped it all between, we both did this one around here, right? Actually, it looked like it was going to bounce again, but there was one seller just sat on it at 303. Now, looking at this, that could have been a long-term investor that missed this. It could have been a secondary, who knows? It's a small company. And in the end, we dumped it all by here because it just wasn't going up. Market weakness and just the timing and volume that should have gone up. So made money on this bit, gave it back on this bit.
Yeah, so I had the perfect trade on this, but mid-range I decided it was hitting $4. And then when it failed, it came down 20-30 cents. And I changed my strategy around. I started taking my profit. I didn't take it. I gave that back plus 3 times much. It was more.
Well, yeah. So the only different strategy is I tend to take half off. So I was fortunate enough to take that half, and then I bought back the half I sold, and so it worked out a wash for me pretty much, right? So, but yeah, so it's a tough decision. Sometimes these keep running, sometimes, and so they can be astronomical. Remember, these are punter. This is a punter. This is an investor or a trading stock. So we'll trade it because we're trading, but we classify this as a punter stock. Didn't even get time to be a dribbler, really, did it? So the other one we trade, the only other one was really Al's one, CYN, right? And so this is one we've been watching. It looks like there's some big shorts on it. We surmise that it's probably got a secondary in the works. So we've never been able to short this actually. So we basically just buy it on these patterns and get out. But you can see each day it's a little bit higher, and then it finishes up like there's a bid there. So what they are, they're a tech stock with games and forklifts or something. I forget what they are actually. But thereabouts, outside here, and it's been a long day. So anyway, you can see the way they move these up. If we go to look at it on an hourly, you'll see what I'm talking about. Each day, each day, each day. So one would, unless there's more to this, to me it looks like they're building up to get rid of it via secondary, because as Madavi said many times, these companies need their money, right? So that's how they get it. Unless there's more to it.
It's like AI fucking forklifts and everything. So it's a good idea.
Yeah. So there is real investors. They do like it. So that's one, and he's really good at this longer term stuff. Okay, I can't remember if we did energy or not, but we're going to look at it real quick. On oil. So oil daily, you can see it's just chop city in this pennant. It's one to avoid, and our boy Hap, we were talking to him earlier. He said so, and he made a good. And we actually, Chad was saying it's really thin on the dome, and you can a lot of that we actually discuss openly on Twitter sometimes around under the barrel. We don't get on Twitter too much, but we're always there Wednesday and Thursday, oil and gas. Anyway, you can see the chop. The new and weekly you can see even more, right? Remember, I'm just saying it's pretty well between there and there. That's just all you really need to know on oil right now, and be aware of that. Unless you're actually trading it with spreads and stuff. Natural gas continued on that way yesterday. Remember, there was You got EIA out tomorrow, you got the LNG stuff, and then you got a boost yesterday, which you can see in the daily, because there was news reports that Russia's going to supply Poland. Poland's been pretty well versed to it, and they have other sources. There's that big pipeline that go to Norway. So really, Russia's just kind of screwed themselves from ever getting deals through that part of the world ever again, I would think, with Norway and other own countries doing their fracking. And then the Bulgaria thing added to that. And I think Madavi mentioned that yesterday. So the Bulgaria bit, so basically Poland, everyone realised, well, that doesn't matter. And then Bulgaria is another, and they're closer to Russia, right, ethnically and all that. So historically they've been, less anti-Russian out of the Eastern Bloc. So that happened, and then you had some weather come in at the end of the day. So remember, this is domestic. This is either a 3 or 5. Keep it that bloody simple. Use the Tankin and the Cajun. If it fails back under here, you know where your resistance is. You have weather reports tomorrow and EIA report. So that's pretty well that. Commodities, we know that wheat got a bid all day. We saw it go up. It wasn't enough to actually enter a trade on. Gold, you know, we mentioned the US dollar. Hit those big highs. So gold has been selling off from that, from just around 2,000 back here to 1880. But you can still see it's still constructive, retesting these previous highs here. And that's really it for commodities and everything else. Anything else, mate? Oh, tomorrow, what do we got tomorrow?
Well, I think we did a great job.
Yeah, we'll just have a quick look at tomorrow. Where I mentioned natural gas. Here's all of the stuff that moved after hours. There's a list. We get briefing census. So that's pretty well all the earnings after hours. We mentioned a lot of them. If you want to do yourself a favour, go through that. Where's tomorrow, mate? What's tomorrow? Thursday. So we got the GDP, weekly claims. We got a 7-year auction, natural gas we mentioned, and that's it. So happy punning, happy trading, and I think we've dribbled on enough for now. So hopefully you enjoyed it. Like it, subscribe it, share it, and we will see you later, more than likely.